always do that. I'm a night rider. Every time that I call past midnight, I swear I get higher. Swear I gotta get higher now. I'm a night rider. Every time that I give what I got, I supply that fire. I supply that fire.
What's going on, bookworms, and welcome back to another episode of Bookmarks with Bump, a very special edition of Bookmarks with Bump, the social commentary podcast brought to you by your favorite endurance running tradesmen, so on and so forth. That list could go on, but it's not really about me, especially not today. Last week, you probably noticed the nice lights up, and you probably noticed the nice stocking as well. It is the holiday season, and we just had Thanksgiving come and go. Today is the last day of November. I hope you've squeezed every last drip that you could out of that turkey in this month, and you're ready to pour it all into December. Today is the 29th. It's Saturday. I've slowly been meandering through this holiday break. This is the first time I've had 4 consecutive days off since, God, I don't know. Sometimes it beats me. And I'm extremely grateful for that. And those are some of the things that we're going to talk about here today. It's going to be different than your traditional episode because it's just more of me being in the spirit. This beautiful room that's been so kindly helped to brought to life. It's been brought to life here with help from the hands of my lovely girlfriend, who, if we were to venture off into the other room, did a bang-up job with the living room of the apartment, a tree. It's festive in here, and we're festivus for the rest of us. Thank you to my lovely Sammy. So, first and foremost, I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for the time I got to spend with her and her family on Thanksgiving. Grateful for my family, seeing them on Thanksgiving, going over, having some breakfast with everybody. My dad ended up having to work that evening, just a couple of blue-collar guys. It runs in our blood. So their little soiree was played down a little bit, which it always is. Our family has a small gathering every year. There's 4 of us, and we never really got together with the rest of the family, being scattered all across this globe like Dragon Balls. They figure if too many Cotes and Collinses are together, bad things might happen. And so I was extremely grateful to be invited to my girlfriend's Thanksgiving. They have a big family, and it was a nice gathering. I've never had a holiday like that. So to sit back and look back on that, it was a beautiful thing. I think that's the best part about this time of the year is it reminds everybody to get together. It reminds everybody to kind of reflect and think about the things that keep us afloat when life can be so hectic and chaotic. And those are the things that we talk about on a week-to-week basis, how hectic and chaotic life can be. And this time of the year is very important for you to take your foot off the gas for a little bit and kind of coast and look at everything that you've accomplished this year. I know for me, I have a lot to be grateful for this year. I can't even count it on one hand. And if I could, for this show, just try to keep it to a few things, it would be very difficult for me to do so. This year has had trials and tribulations, and for me to be as headstrong and steadfast as I am right now is a blessing that I'm grateful for in and of itself. I've lost myself and found myself quite a few times this year, as chronicled on this weekly show. Somehow I was packing in an episode while working 7 days a week, training for a race, running in multiple races while working that 7-day work week. And that is something that I'm grateful for as well. Battling through that adversity and kind of pushing myself to the limit. Last year, I said in the year of 2024, I learned a lot about myself. And this year in 2025, I took what I learned about myself and tested it and pushed it to, some would say, its limits. And now here I am at the tail end of the year injured, but I'm grateful for this injury. And that might sound weird to say. That might sound weird hearing that from an athlete, from a competitor, but I'm grateful for the chance to kind of kick my feet up. I never give that to myself. I'm always pushing, always moving, always working and working on something, working on a goal or the next challenge, whatever it is. I'm writing that list and attacking it. I'm not sitting back on it. And right now, I have the opportunity to sit back just a little bit. I'm still in the gym lifting weights. Every activity that I'm cleared to do, but without a goal or a running goal directly on the front of my mind right now, I do have the ability to just sit back and focus on the things that count. And when you're running in these races, I've said before, it can be a lonely stretch. It can be a lonely goal. It's a lonely achievement. In the last couple months where I've been put on the bench, I kind of realized how I'm not alone at all. I have people in my life that I love and that love me. And I'm grateful for all of them. This episode here is it's just to remind you to look at those things, and it's not soft to look at those things. It's not soft to feel your feelings. It's not soft to acknowledge how much you love something or how much you care about something. There's an old school frame of thinking where men just gotta be men. And yeah, that's true. But why are you a man? What makes you a man? A man is working for something bigger than himself. And more often than not, that's his family. And that's the people that he loves and cares about. So why don't you just suck it up and say that, pal, Mr. Manly Man. I'm grateful for not only my immediate family, not only my girlfriend, but the people who have stuck by me through all the adversity in life. As the years go by, and you learn about yourself, and in my shoes, you run yourself down a bad road, you can lose connections, you can lose friends, and I'm extremely grateful for the people like Roach and for the people like the Bushies who have stuck by my side for all this time, for 8 years. In this last 8 years has been the most monumental and changing 8 years of my life. And I feel right now, today, November 29th, November 30th, before the first day of the last month of 2025, I feel complete. I feel complete. And I've felt complete before. I felt like I've changed my life and made an impact before, but now I feel complete and ready to start anew. Everything is new here. Part of that is, getting out of my old bank and into a new one, or improving my credit scores, getting this apartment. And now the next goal, they keep building, and I'm solid. I have no fear in my heart. I have no doubt in my mind that the way I'm moving right now is the right way. And life and God keep throwing things in front of me to remind me that on a constant basis. It's a beautiful life if you have eyes to see. And there's a lot that life can tell you if you have ears to hear. And as long as you have faith and focus on those two things, you'll always have a reason to smile, and you'll always have the ability to remind yourself why it is that you're smiling. It's interesting to just sit down and kind of just pontificate about the things that you're feeling. This isn't a traditional sense of therapy, or this isn't a traditional sense of being a philosopher or an orator. But for me, this is something that's important because there are people that are out there still, that were out there with me, who think that they're hopeless. And that's the biggest thing for me, and that's why I continue to do this no matter what, is that there is hope. Even if you think the things that I've achieved aren't the immediate or your idea of success, just know that you can push yourself. In that time where I thought I was hopeless, I was incapable of pushing myself. I was always capable. I just wasn't willing. And once you're willing, if you're listening to this, once you're willing to make those changes, it gets a hell of a lot easier. You're hurting yourself and holding yourself back, telling yourself you can't do anything. It's been a long time before I told myself I can't do anything. Case in point, right now, going through physical therapy, awaiting my MRI. I haven't told myself once that I'm never going to run again or I can't run. It's all about pushing forward, the perseverance, the adversity, the grit, and the grind. You have to appreciate the process. Somebody tweeted something the other day, and it made me think of just a prolific way to put something. And listen, it's hard to do this, right? And feel like you're tooting your own horn from time to time. But sometimes I am, and that's all right. But somebody said on Twitter, it was Kiwis Hafai. I don't know what that is, but it was an interesting and thought-provoking tweet where it says, without drugs, what is the cure for depression? And I used to think of myself as a depressed person. I used to think of myself as an addict. I used to think of myself of all these things you think of yourself as without exercising your will. Because the biggest thing that changes these feelings, that changes these thought patterns, and that changes these processes is just a exercise of will. You think you don't have anything in you. When was the last time you tested it? Exercise your will. But Kiwi says, without saying drugs, what is the cure for depression? And I said, falling in love with the process, the grind, the challenge that is life. To not be focused on the outcome, but on the steps it takes to get there. No matter what the outcome is, you can always rely on the process. You can always rely on exercising your will. The fulfilling feeling that comes with it is in your hands. You just have to be willing to dribble. It's all about will. Will Campbell? I don't know. It's all about will. How much will do you have? You have an unlimited stock of will in your body, but you have to choose to use it. What else am I grateful for? I'm grateful for so much. My family, my friends, my girlfriend. I'm grateful for the opportunities I get at work, where some people would look at me throughout this past year and go, why would you work 7 days a week? Because they gave me an opportunity. They deemed me, they sought me out, they saw that I was responsible enough to handle an opportunity, and when life gives you an opportunity, attack it. Even if you think it's miserable, even if you think it's tough, you're going to learn something from those opportunities, you're going to gain something from those opportunities, and I think where I am today in the company as opposed to where I was last January is much, much different because I never said no to an opportunity. And my career, my job, they continue to give me opportunities, and I continue to use them as stepping stones to get to where I will ultimately end up one day. And that's fat, rich, and happy. Minus the fat part. But just examples like that. I'm grateful for the things that I wake up in the morning and say, I don't want to do. Because it's another chance to exercise my will. I'm grateful for the NFL. And what we've had over the last couple weeks is an exciting story of up and downs. Last week, we had a 9-5 record, and we pushed our overall record this year to 70-37. And we're going to go over a couple of things that happened in the last couple weeks to catch us all up and win us some more games. We had 4 games already go on this week, and that means that we have 12 between tomorrow and Monday. So let's talk about those. Let's get into the NFL a little bit, and let's get on with our holiday weekend. How's that sound, everybody? Good. Sounds good to me, too. Okay. So last week, Thursday Night Football, we had Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills take on the Houston Texans. And look at that beard on the right-hand side of the screen right there. That is just majestic and lovely. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that wonderful? And look at those stats. Look at that stat box on the side there for the Buffalo Bills. There's no way they lost this game, right? Well, there is. And it's a turnover battle. And it's also the fact that the Texans completely bull rushed the Bills. 8 sacks for the Houston defense as they toppled the Bills and leave Josh Allen stunned. A trend that has happened all too often this year in the NFL, where Josh Allen gets a little bit rattled in a game and can't come back from that adversity, as opposed to Drake May in the AFC East, who's been sacked the third most times out of anybody in the NFL and is still leading the MVP race. But I digress from there. The Bills take a loss against the Texans last week, and it seems like it was so long ago, 10 days ago. But we did not talk about this week of football, so we're going to go over it a little bit, not game by game. We're going to be scrambled all over because the way I wrote up these games this week is a little bit different than before. We're going to start with our headliner of Sunday night, the Buccaneers and the Rams, which looked like it was going to be a NFC showdown, except all it really was just another display of dominance. One being by Davante Adams, who tied Jimmy Graham for 1-yard touchdown receptions. Think about this. Jimmy Graham is a man of incredible frame, 6'7", dunked on the goalpost every time he scored a touchdown. An absolute dog and a demon. And Davante Adams, a wiry wide receiver who's been in the league for 12, 13 years now, just pulling in touchdown after touchdown on those fade routes. He seems to have an immaculate catch radius. And with Matt Stafford there, one of the most accurate, most talented arms in the league, how is he not going to catch a ton of touchdowns? The Rams dominated the Bucs the same way Davante dominates the record books. Colby Durant, Jared Verse, Kitchens, all solidifying the Rams defense to be as optimal as their offense is, and they're a well-rounded team and a threat to the league. Plus, it's a much different thought that we had of the Rams now compared to where they were in the beginning of the season. When we were questioning Matt Stafford, where would he be in this season, taking time off in the training camp because of his back? Well, he's throwing 3-4 touchdowns a game. Even when the Bucs were able to stop the powerful rush offense of the Rams, holding Kyren Williams to 46 yards, Matt Stafford was still able to throw all over the yard, and this was a solid win. They didn't really look like they were faltering late in the game as they have in the past couple weeks. So they move on, and that's good news for the Rams, and bad news for the rest of the league would be the Bears, the bad news Bears. Aaron Rodgers, the landlord of Chicago, sat on the bench as Mason Rudolph failed to lead a game-winning drive, and the 2025 Bears are playing like the monsters of the Midway, managing to find turnovers and continuing to find wins despite trailing in every metric in all of these games. The Bears have been one of the biggest surprises in the league. Another surprise, but not so much, would be the Seahawks and them dominating in every game. The Seahawks managed to shy away from the turnovers in Tennessee. This game was much tighter than this game was much more loose, than the final score alludes to, as we have a 30-24 win here, where the Titans kind of got lucky with a kick return here against the Seattle Seahawks in their defense, but they did managed to make that score look pretty decent as their 1-10 record lines up on the side of the screen there. But the Seahawks would take huge chunks and strike fast, while seemingly big brothering Tennessee and Cam Ward, allowing them to dink and dunk down the field. Cam is going to be a good quarterback. That's kind of my takeaway from this game here. I think that Cam Ward has what it takes to be a starting quarterback, a QB1 in this league for a long time, but he just has to have the pieces around him, and Tennessee is very far away from success at this point. Jacksonville, another surprise here. They did it again. 4 turnovers, if you ask me, is no way to win a back-and-forth game, yet somehow they do it. All I have is questions for Trevor Lawrence and Jonathan Gannon on the Cardinals. Are these the right guys for their respective jobs? Meaning, is Trevor Lawrence the quarterback of the future in Jacksonville? And is Jonathan Gannon head coach material as the Cardinals fall to 3-8? It seems like they haven't had a win in months. But ETN is the life of the offense in Jacksonville, that's for sure. And I think that Jacoby Brissett is calling his own plays in the huddles. Either way, the Jags' playoff hopes survive another week, while Arizona continues to spiral. And another team spiraling are the Saints because it pays to have a backup like Kirk Cousins, as the Falcons would get after the Saints and sack aw shucks 5 times. That's my new nickname for Tyler Shuck. It would be aw shucks because he spends a lot of time on the ground. The Falcons getting much needed win in the feisty NFC South, where with the back end, sorry, with the Buccaneers losing and the Carolina Panthers losing this past week, anything can really happen there. The Falcons are 4-7. They need a big push and a big run, and I think if they have anything to hang their hat on, Kirk Cousins might just be that guy. Shedeur Sanders, is this guy going to be a guy? I'm not sure, but he made history beating the Browns. He became the first Cleveland Browns starting quarterback to win their first start for the franchise in 50 years. It was against the Raiders, so that's really no big deal, especially when you have Myles Garrett, who had another 3 sacks in this game, piling his total for this season up to 18 sacks in 12 weeks. So, what the hell? This guy is just made in a lab because it seems like as he gets older, his game gets brighter and better. But shout out Myles Garrett. 18 sacks already. He's 3.5 sacks away from the single season record, and he might do it in as little as 15 games. He might do it. He might do it in 16 games. It took TJ Watt 17 games to tie it. But imagine if he gets a 22 or 23, if he gets a 22 sacks, if he gets 4 sacks before week 18 in the next 5 weeks. What can you say? You can't call it the longer season. You can't say it has anything to do with extra reps. You can't say it has anything to do with anything other than Myles Garrett being the best pass edge rusher of this generation. The 49ers, though, their opponent this week, they headlined Week 12, welcoming their bell cow's old team into Levi Stadium, as Bryce Young and the bubbling Carolina Panthers got a primetime slot for once. They used Christian McCaffrey heavily right out of the gate to remind the Panthers what they were missing, and they worked their way down the field easily in this one. On the first drive, that is. On their second drive, the Panthers brought their best to primetime slot when J.C. Horn caught a pick and set the Panthers up inside the 20. Bryce Young had some primetime jitters, and he threw a pick in the end zone when he had a chance to run one right in. But then when Brock Purdy found Ricky Pearsall in the end zone on the ensuing drive, Mike Jackson would get the hee-hee. Mike Jackson would hee-hee that shit and get the Panthers' second interception of the night. Brock Purdy would then go on to throw a third interception to J.C. Horn, who had 2 interceptions in this contest. When that happened, I thought, holy shit, are we about to see Mac Jones again? But despite missing the 2 main courses of this 49ers defense, the inexperienced Panthers offense just couldn't capitalize in this game with all the turnovers, and the Niners would hold on to win. A very chippy 20-9 game where a low blow was thrown and Juwan Jennings' ball sack got crushed at the hands of a Carolina Panthers safety. Hey, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. Let's talk about a good game, though. Let's talk about these guys over behind me. Oh, you can't see it right now in the picture-in-picture, but I'm always representing the Patriots, and the Patriots have become the first team of the season to hit 10 wins. Let's go highlight these guys up here in a feisty, fiery contest here. Barely. Okay. Nonetheless, this was win number 9 in a row, and it was a nail-biter. Every time we got some points, the Bengals inched closer, and for the first time this season, May seemed flustered against what I thought was a piss-poor defense. Is this a fluke or is this a hard-fought win? He threw a bad interception there early in the game, but a team hungry for a feast. And Joe Burrow's return on Thanksgiving against the Ravens, who slugged past the Jets the week before. Holy smokes, I'm going way too fast here. All right, so we're going from Patriots beating the Bengals. Talking about the Bengals here for a second, but the Bengals, they're going to end up playing the Ravens. The Ravens played the Jets, where Tyrod Taylor would breathe some life into the Jets' offense, but the Ravens' defense would act like the doctor for the Chargers, who jump-started Justin Herbert's career and punctured the Jets' lungs, and Tyrod Taylor's. But anyway, they forced Taylor into a pick, and then they grabbed the fumble right from Breece Hall's arms as he was scampering into the end zone. On Thanksgiving, though, it would be the Bengals who had the ball bounce their way, as Joe Burrow threw for 2 touchdowns, and Lamar coughed up 3 turnovers in this game, and it made the battle for the AFC North even more contentious when you have the Bengals, who are 3-8 going in this game, now advancing to 4-8, knocking the Ravens to 6-6, and right now the Steelers are 6-5 going into this game against Buffalo, looking to avoid going 6-6. So this is going to be a tough one here for the Steelers and the Ravens for the rest of the season. I mean, I don't think the Bengals have a way into the playoffs unless if they win every single game and the Ravens and the Steelers drop at least 3. But it does make things interesting in the AFC North. We have no idea what's going on over there, and Lamar Jackson getting rattled like that in a game is not what I was expecting. I thought they'd be on an absolute tear, and they just weren't. So that hurts. That hurts the program. Dropping the ball hurts the program, and we have another North division that's taken some hits here as well. One would be the Packers, who rode Emmanuel Wilson in Week 12 for 107 yards, 2 touchdowns, and they kicked a bevy of field goals to carry the Packers over the Vikings. J.J. McCarthy looked terrible against this hungry Packers defense. They can't convert to first down, and they aren't where they were projected to be heading into the season. J.J. McCarthy got taken out of this game with a concussion. Max Brosmer is going to start for the Vikings this week, and that'll be interesting to see what happens there. I made a little side bet on this game that Christian Watson would go ahead and outduel his rival Justin Jefferson in this game, and he did. He went ahead and outgained him by 1 yard and outcaught him by 1 catch. So you do the math. Either way, the Packers, they had a little bit of a tizzy with the Lions, who have been exciting for years. They played the Giants last week, and the Giants' offense just got exciting when Jameis began starting. Jameis caught a touchdown in this game, a touchdown pass, and he basically hurdled the man, stiff-armed him into the dirt. I love Jameis Winston with all my heart. Jameis is starting in place of Jackson Dart, and it doesn't matter how many J's they have. They don't have Jahmyr Gibbs, who he ended up calling game in an 80-yard touchdown run in overtime after the Giants got the ball and went 3 and out. The Giants needed this game real bad, but the Lions needed a win going into Thanksgiving. They're looking to tackle the Packers. They have a win over the Bears this season. I don't think they're really looking at the Bears as much of a threat to them directly. The Packers might be the bigger threat, and they proved to be the bigger threat as they just dominated the Lions. It didn't seem like the Lions could get anything off. They have no help in the offensive line, and the Packers defense was just able to smother Detroit on Thanksgiving and kind of make them look a little silly. 31-24. There was a touchdown, or there was some points late in this game. They wanted to go ahead and have a chance to tie it up, and when it mattered the most, the Packers got that first down and were able to move right on. Special teams made special plays alongside 2 late fumbles to shake up the NFC East in Jerry World as the Eagles dropped a massive lead and George Pickens exploded for Dallas against the Eagles last week. George Pickens with 9 receptions, 146 yards, and he'd do it again. George Pickens is a generational wide receiver, and he's known for that, okay? He may be known for his antics and his slick mouth, but what he's known for to me would be those amazing catches that he had in Georgia, and then he translated to Pittsburgh, and now he's doing it in Dallas, and he'll do it all over the globe. The Chiefs were still the Chiefs after swimming back from a 20-9 deficit against a high-powered Indianapolis Colts team. They made it into overtime, where Kansas City would confuse Indianapolis, zigging and zagging across the field, keeping Patrick Mahomes upright has been the recipe for success in the Chiefs games, but Chris Jones and the way he attacked the Colts 2 weeks ago, a week ago, however you want to say it, in week 12, it was a hard matchup for Conclavis, and Daniel Jones was giving chase a ton. Those two teams batted middle on Thanksgiving. The Chiefs went into Dallas to play a Thanksgiving Bowl in Jerry World, and they kind of got embarrassed here, where Dak Prescott would throw for 320 yards, and CeeDee Lamb would break back into 100-yard territory. CeeDee Lamb got his touchdown in this game, and despite a late push from the Chiefs, they just spent too much time not being able to score or move the ball, and the Cowboys get a huge win here and advance to 6-5-1 against the Chiefs on Thanksgiving. That's going to have some big implications, because when you look at the Eagles, who took on Chicago on Black Friday in the Surprise Bowl, I'll call this, because this is two surprising teams. The Eagles surprisingly not being able to move the ball much, and the Bears surprisingly being able to rattle off win after win after win, and they do it again. This thing's doing all types of crazy stuff over here. Kalmanaga would go for 130 yards for the Bears, but then on the other hand, so would DeAndre Swift. They rushed for over 200 yards on the Eagles, and they just sucked so much time off the clock. Jalen Hurts turned the ball over. A.J. Brown had 12 targets, so, I mean, he's getting what he wants, right? What more could you really ask for out of the Eagles team? They just can't move the ball with Saquon Barkley. That's a big deal here. And then they just had such a piss poor time kicking the ball yesterday in the wind. The boos from the Eagles fans. You look at this, Saquon Barkley had 13 carries in a windy game. Why are we doing this? Saquon Barkley with 13 carries. He was averaging 4.3, so it wasn't like it was a terrible bunch that he had. He wasn't getting stuffed up too bad, but they didn't stick to the run. They're not sticking to the run. They need to service this now, but unfortunately they're not, and they're continuing to fall. Now at 8-4, the Bears are at 9-3, and the NFC North is kind of shaping up to be the Bears' division with what just happened here. With the Lions losing, now dropping to 7-5, you have the Packers at 8-3-1. With a tough stretch ahead of them. And then the Eagles, they have that division, but now with the Cowboys at 6-5 with a win over the Eagles, it looks like this could be a year for Dallas to make a run. But we have other games to get into, and we're going to make our picks and hopefully advance our record even further as we go forward into this slate on Sunday. You have the 49ers and the Browns in Shador's second start. Shador was named the starting quarterback after getting a win in Cleveland, and I think that might not happen again for a couple more weeks. Shador had some decision-making problems in that game. I wouldn't say that he's the reason they won that game. I would definitely hand that off to the defense of the Cleveland Browns, which, listen, they have a very tough secondary, so I'm expecting a lot of the same out of Brock Purdy. Maybe he sees a couple of the mistakes that he made in the game against the Panthers and kind of corrects those and moves forward a little bit more confidently. But I do see the 49ers getting a win over the Browns here in Cleveland, just as I see Jacksonville getting a win over the Titans in Tennessee. I mean, yes, I question Trevor Lawrence. I question his 11 interceptions, but there is no question about Travis Etienne. I think if they can just get some explosive plays out of him, maybe get some more explosive plays out of P.J. Washington, who's emerging as the guy in Jacksonville. I think they're actually going to have the addition of Jacoby Myers this week, so that'll help out. But Trevor Lawrence makes some amazing throws, don't get me wrong, but he also makes some very terrible decisions. I don't think a divisional game will be the one for the Jaguars to drop here, though. They are 3-2 on the road. They're playing on the road just as well as they are at home. It has a lot to do with their defense, with their pass rush. So I think that's going to scramble a little bit for Cam Ward and make it difficult for him to make some plays. And we have Jacksonville taking the win. This is a spot here for the Indianapolis Colts. It's a big game at home at Lucas Oil Stadium where they're inviting the Texans in, who are kind of hot right now. Coming off a couple big wins, coming off a win against the Bills, which is a perennial contender. So you have a game here with a lot at stake. I think this is one where Indy's going to have to ride Jonathan Taylor. This pass rush from the Texans is really difficult to stand up against. However, I think when you have a guy like Jonathan Taylor, you can switch things up enough to kind of have them playing back on their heels. And that's going to be the key for the Colts in this game, taking on a divisional opponent who's kind of had their number the last couple years, but they need a win bad here. They aren't undefeated at home. I think the Texans would love to spoil that record, but not today. The Indianapolis Colts get the win at 1 o'clock on CBS. You go down south to Miami. Miami's been rolling. They're playing like a brand new team. The Saints are playing like a team in disarray. Give me the team with the energy. That would be the team of the Miami Dolphins. Next, you have the Falcons and the Jets. This is easy for me. Kirk Cousins is on a mission by God to prove what he's here to do, and that's play football. Kirk Cousins is going to go up into the cold weather of MetLife Stadium and suck the fuel out of the Jets. Give me the Falcons as they fly back to Atlanta. Happy, happy birds. You have the Buccaneers getting a win against the Arizona Cardinals. What can I really say about the Cardinals? The highlight of their team is Trey McBride. And Jacoby Brissett is able to get him the ball. But, I mean, you have one man against the world over there, and it's a get-back spot for this Buccaneers team. They're hurt. They're angry. They're hungry. And they know they have teams on their heels in the Panthers and in the Falcons right now. So they have to play like they don't have a lead. And they're going to get out against the Cardinals and kind of impose their will against a shitty team. Another team from California is going to get another win over Carolina here as Matt Stafford will continue on his MVP run, currently sitting at 2,830 yards, 30 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions on the year. I think this will be a great chance for Matt Stafford to play against a tough defense and have a great showing against this Carolina Panthers team on a 1 o'clock slate. A little bit of an early game for the Rams here, but that doesn't worry me none. You have the Minnesota Vikings and the Seattle Seahawks. Minnesota Vikings are playing with their fourth. They're playing with a quarterback outside of Carson Wentz this week. They're playing with Max Brosmer, who's a rookie this year, or he was drafted last year. Not too sure what I know of the guy, but I do know that he was great in the FCS. Then he went up to Minnesota, played well in Minnesota enough to get drafted to the Minnesota Vikings. He's on their roster. Kevin O'Connell is a quarterback whisperer. I think Seattle wins this game, but I think we're going to know who Max Brosmer is after this 4:05 game on Fox. You have the Steelers and the Bills. This game has huge implications either way. The Bills need to continue to win. They want to compete with the Patriots late in the season for the AFC East, and the Steelers also need a win because they know the Ravens just dropped one, and they're sitting at a spot where they could have an equal record. The AFC North is the key to the playoffs. You need to win that division in order to even get in, and I don't think Aaron Rodgers wants to go out like a little sissy here. The Bills have proven to be vulnerable. This is a team you can get turnovers off of, and that's something that that Pittsburgh thrives on. However, you can't trust that that's going to happen in every game, and I think I have to go with Josh Allen, an angry Josh Allen here. Let's feed James Cook a little bit more. Let's get Josh Allen into, rolling in some play-action passes, and let's see what McCole Hardman can do on this team. I think he might be able to suit up and play, so that'll be player to watch in this game is McCole Hardman, or what wide receiver will step up for Josh Allen in this 4 o'clock slot. We have the Raiders and the Chargers. I'm giving this game to Las Vegas. I just don't trust anything out of the Chargers right now. And I was kind of really happy that they didn't have a game last week. So I want to see Pete Carroll get a tough win on the road against Jim Harbaugh. They dropped one earlier this year. Can they get one back? This is what this is all about. So let's see Geno Smith kind of not try and force the ball in any holes this game. Let's see Ashton Ginty run the ball. I think Max Crosby will be able to get after Herbert. They have really a ton of injuries in the offensive line, and I think this is a good spot for the Raiders to get an upset win. So we're going to go with the upset here. We're going to go with the obvious on Sunday Night Football. It's going to be the Broncos. The Commanders have a lot of primetime slots because of what they were supposed to be this year, and they're not panning out to live up to that potential. Nothing against them. It's not entirely their fault. It's just the way the cookie crumbled this year for these guys. A lot of injury and a lot of mix-up in the offensive firepower, playing without Deebo Samuel a lot, playing without Terry McLaurin a lot. Yeah, give me the Broncos. Maybe a more handed win in this one. And then the highlight of my life, the highlight of the week, Monday Night Football, which is great for me because that means on Sunday I could just sit down and watch Red Zone and just relax, not have to worry about the Pats at all because Monday Night Football on ESPN, Gillette Stadium, Foxborough, primetime, another primetime showing for Drake May and the new New England Patriots. The Patriots get a win here over the Giants. Am I worried? Just a little bit. The Giants have a great pass rush, but like I said earlier in this episode, Drake May has gotten sacked the third most out of any quarterback in the league. And at this point right here, I'm not worried about him taking hits. He's a dog. He gets back up. He makes all the right throws. Brian Burns said he might process just a little too much. Well, I'd like a guy who thinks more than thinks less, and that's my slate for Sunday. Today, we're going with San Francisco, Jacksonville, Indianapolis, Miami, Atlanta, Tampa Bay, Los Angeles Rams, Seattle Seahawks, Buffalo, Las Vegas, Denver, and New England. New England will win 24-13 on Monday Night Football. And I will be even more grateful. I'll have more to be grateful about after that game. Think about that. What a great Monday. People hate Mondays. Oh, this Monday sucks, blah, blah, blah. No Monday sucks when you spend your Sundays with me. And if you haven't by now, please subscribe, like, leave a comment, a rating, a review. You can follow me on all social media, at Twitter, at BumpOfTTS, on TikTok, at bookmarkswbump. Hit my Gmail, bookmarkswbump@gmail.com for any personal training questions, or if you have any threads that you'd like to suggest. Next week, I'm sure we'll get back to some, but I'm sure you're grateful we took a break. Remember, this week and this month, and for the rest of the year, look back on your year and try not to harp on the things that are the negatives. Try to just count your blessings and count the things that you're grateful for, and look yourself in the mirror and give yourself a good smile, because at the end of the day, it's all going to be okay. And as always, it's all love. God bless. I always do that.
I'm in that rider. Every time that I call past midnight, I swear I get higher. Swear I gotta get higher now. I'm in that rider. Every time that I give what I got, I supply that fire. I supply that fire.